Everyone here most likely knows who Aero Precision is. They not only make a ton of really good affordable parts and rifles, but they actually white label a ton of products for other companies. So even if you don't own an Aero labeled product or have never used one, it's very likely that you've held something that came off of their machines at some point if you run a lot of different rifles. The Pro rifle is their jump into the modern ambi market, with Pro parts marketed as a higher tier, both in materials, machine work, and QC. The question, however, is, did they hit the mark? Well, this right here is the new Ambi Pro rifle, and we're gonna call it the mini pickle for the time being because it's in that mean green anodized color, which I'm a big fan of. So this came in about a month ago and I got right to work on this thing. And if you've been paying attention to my channel at all recently, I've had a lot of problems recently, not only with ammo, but rifles and pistols alike, where things just don't seem to run out on the range. So having been a consumer of Aero Precision for about 15 years, I was really hoping that this one wasn't gonna give me a problem like so many things have over the past 9 or 10 months. Let's go ahead and get that dirty talk out of the way first, discuss any issues or problems that may have come up, because you guys know, good, bad, or indifferent, if it happens out there on camera, you guys get to see it because nobody gets a free pass here on the channel. There is one thing that did come up, and it's actually a little bit of a reminder to PCI your gear, at least regularly, if not every single range trip. If you don't know what that is, it's like old military verbiage of pre-combat inspection, PCI. Always make sure your kit and everything, your rifle, all your gear is just ready to go. So something did come up out there, and we're gonna walk through that right now. Okay. We did have a fail to lock back on that mag, so we're gonna try that one again. Okay, so I'll check this mag later and see if it works in other guns, but let's go ahead and narrow that problem down right now. We'll load each of these with one. All right, I know it's a little windy, I apologize guys. I've got a bunch of different mags loaded one round in my flatline fiber splatter pattern dump pouch, and we are just going to run through all these mags to make sure we get last round bolt lock, and everything's good to go because we did have that one aluminum one that didn't lock back. All right, get out of there, P-mag. That's one. Lancer mag. Another Lancer mag. That did good. Another Lancer. We got another Daniel Defense mag. I've not had good luck with these. Okay, that went. One of the new T-mags. Another T-mag. Good. That means that aluminum mag probably needs a new spring. All right, cheap trick to see if it's your magazine spring going dead. Pull the base plate, stretch that string out, and just test it. That's not a fix, that's just a range thing to do to see if your spring was dying. We'll try it again. Yep, so lock back that time, so new spring. Now after that little snafu with the magazine, she ran prime, and I mean prime. Everything from the fit, finish, the feel, the trigger, everything was solid. So I seem to have broken the bad luck spree that I've had over the past several months with things just not turning out well. If you all like getting that dirty talk and reviews that aren't like puff pieces for the industry, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more of that coming, and it is a big help to the channel. The range performance on this one, right at about 500 rounds on this one, was good. I didn't have any ammunition failures, thank God. That's been happening a lot to me recently as well. But overall, the day went very smooth as I was kind of getting accustomed to the new Pro Ambi controls and this rifle in general. And this rifle was set up just right, both in weight and gassing. I've been having a lot of over-gassing issues with barrels lately, and this one seemed to be on point. The recoil and ejection were about as perfect as you could ask for from an off-the-shelf rifle. The new Ambi Pro controls are just outstanding and easy to use out there. I've actually been using a few of their other Pro parts for a while now, to include the safety selector, the charging handle, the takedown pins, and the new Mod 4 Pro rail on this build right here. This is for the X2 development barrels. Made this rifle, another one, to check those out and do the final video, because those are the barrels that me and Adrian from Sidewinder Concepts and Charlie Melton took a 16-inch 5.56 out to a mile. So pretty crazy. It's on camera. That'll be its own video. Before the Pro rifle, I ran a lot of drills out there just to get settled in with this thing. Since I use so many different rifles, set up so many different ways, I really need to spend a little bit of time when it comes to something like this to get settled in. The rifle just crushed it out there. The ambi controls were smooth and super easy to actuate from the first drill to the last. I did have some pretty good flubs out there, which are to be expected when you're running something new, set up a different way, when you try to speed up to max efficiency. So you can go ahead and feel free to torch me in the comments on that. I also have to say the trigger here was exceptionally nice, and you'll see why in the specs as we go through the rifle. The rifle had an extremely solid feel, it was easy to maneuver, and overall felt extremely tight with a very controllable recoil impulse. And the gassing and ejection pattern, again, just seemed to be right on point and what I would expect from a higher tier rifle in the modern market. Once I settled into the controls, I began to run the rifle a little bit faster with my bare standards drills, the build drills, and overall I was quite happy with the performance of the rifle. Magazine exchanges were made super easy by that generous mag well that Aero Precision gives you as an integral part of the lower receiver, whether you're doing a tactical exchange or an empty gun reload. A mag well is just a big plus in the modern market. The rail seems to be just about the right size. It wasn't too thick, wasn't too bulky, yet it wasn't too small to where you started running the rifle and your hand got super hot. I did run some rail covers on this one, but unless you really like that little bit of extra grip, you don't need them for control of heat into the hand if that's what you were thinking about when it comes to rail covers. I have to say it's just nice to get a rifle in that actually performs. You don't have to like troubleshoot problems or issues out there, and just seems to run very clean, very nice, and very reliably on the first few range trips out there. Now, all that section of the video is brought to you by Brownells. I love them, they love me, it's kind of a thing. I've been going to them since like 2007, so make sure you give them a little bit of love as well. Let's go ahead and talk about the build and how this thing is set up, because I get a lot of questions, whether it's emails, DMs, or comments about like what parts are on this, what was I using. So you guys can check that out. I will have a build list so you can check everything out. That'll be the first link in the description down below. And if you're cultured enough to be watching this in your break room, at your employer, while casting it to the TV so everybody can take advantage, I'll put a QR code right up here. So as far as the optic, I'm running an EOTech with their magnifier package, and that is sitting on top of a BCM riser rail. I like those riser rails, even though this is already an EXPS, because it just puts the optic in just a more optimal position for, you know, my neck length, my arm length, and all that good stuff. And overall, that BCM was very well respected. They make awesome stuff, and it gives you just enough height to be comfortable without blowing the bank. I got the BCM rail covers on there. That just gives you a little bit of heat protection, also a little bit more traction on that rail. And I've got that new dye-free company, I think they call it the Eagle Claw, which is the hand stop up there. I'm running an Axon switch from Unity, which is probably one of the best ones out on the market right now. A Mod Light, I'm running the Surefire tail cap on there, and that's being held on by an overbore swivel mount. I am really liking what Overbore's doing. They've got some really cool products. And then up on top, it's a D-Ball A3. Some people love those, some people don't like them. I'll tell you right now, for just about everything that we're gonna do out there, that D-Ball's probably gonna get the job done. And one thing that I've been trying out on a couple of builds lately are these new Arid slings right here. They're kind of like a self-stowing design. So it's got this little piece of bungee, and all you have to do is just grab your tab, pull out, come off, and your sling is ready to go and wrap around you. So pretty cool design. That's all US made, US sourced material. Local dude to me making some really cool stuff. So if you're interested in a new sling, if you like the 2-point stuff, go ahead and check those out. Again, I'll have all of that stuff at the build list for you so you can do all of your own research on all that stuff. Let's get into these specs here, and you got to pay attention to these because this comes in at 1900, so it's quite different from the normal Aero stuff that we've all come accustomed to. And I think once we go through these, you'll kind of figure out that it is just a little bit of a different level. So from the buttstock to the business end, you're going to get a Magpul MOE SL stock, solid stuff right there. You'll get the Aero Precision enhanced buffer tube and an H buffer inside. The castle nut is properly staked. You get a Magpul grip on there, the Aero Pro ambi safety selector, which is very nice and very positive. You also have a super easy installation there with their detent design. You get the Pro mag release on there, the Pro ambi bolt lock and release, which is very easy to use and was super smooth right out of the box. The Pro ambi charging handle. The lower receiver is 7075 forged with an integral mag wheel and an integral trigger guard, all of which has been smoothed off and beveled extremely nicely. All of the machine work here is just top notch. The upper receiver is 7075 forged as well with the forward assist. You get the Aero Pro takedown and pivot pins, which are much nicer than standard ones. There's a traditional steel dust cover on there. It's T-marked all the way down the top of that new anti-rotation Mod 4 Pro rail that is 15 inches, has M-lock on 7 sides, a low profile steel QD point, left, right, front, and back, so you can pretty much run your sling anywhere you want. It also has some slight texture and depressions milled into it for grip. Now, taking a look under the skirt of this thing, you're gonna get the new Pro bolt and carrier group. It's high pressure tested and magnetic particle inspected individually, not batch tested. So this is a 1x1, and that's a lot of QC time right there. It is chrome lined, phosphate coated, and the bolt itself is made of Carpenter 158, and the gas key is properly staked. The barrel is 16-inch, cold hammer forged, and chrome lined. For all those people out there that are doing burn downs, this barrel is going to last you an extremely long time. It's a government profile chambered in 5.56 with a pinned low profile gas block, so that thing's not coming off unless you want it to, and it's capped off with an A2 muzzle device. Now, the trigger on this one felt abnormally good, and I kind of wondered why. So I went back to their website and read that's actually an ALG single stage trigger, which we kind of know ALG makes great stuff. So that was a nice added value that Aero put that trigger in there rather than just a basic mil spec. Now let's talk value factor here for a second, right? Because these are pricier than the traditional Aero stuff that we have all become accustomed to. But think about the QC that went in there on things like that bolt and carrier. You get that Carpenter 158 steel, you get an ALG trigger, a chrome lined barrel, a pinned gas block. Overall, this thing just has nicer stuff all the way around. So the materials and the QC are at a higher level than the normal product. And I think most of us have come to understand that Aero actually has really good quality control. And having used several blem Aero products in the past, I can tell you I really couldn't figure out where the blem was. But overall, they market these and make these to a higher standard with nicer stuff than their traditional rigs, which is going to bring the galactic credits just a little bit north. And because I know somebody's going to ask this down in the comment, would I carry this on duty, or do I think this is a hard use rifle? Absolutely. Even though I've only got 500 rounds through it and I intend to put a lot more through this thing, the way it performed out there, the fit, function, and feel, I don't think anyone would be underwhelmed with this product. But since nobody, and I mean nobody, gets a free pass on the channel, is there anything I think this rifle is lacking or that I would change? And yes, one thing stood out to me right away that I think should be there, and this really is targeted at my single point sling guys. QD end plate right here. I love to have a QD end plate right there because I run single point slings a lot, and I think a lot of other people out there do as well. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Aero doesn't have their own end plate that has a QD attachment right there, or I'm also surprised that they didn't put one on here, just the way that it is rigged up and the price point and all that stuff. That's really the one thing that I could come with, but you can pick one up from Brownells for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, throw it on there yourself. Just make sure you restake your castle nut and you'll be good to go. But that's the one thing that I think could make this just that like 1% better. So is this thing for everyone? Because I did some research looking at the forums and stuff, and people were really angry that it came in at a higher price point than traditional Aero stuff. I think it is. Now, is the price point for everybody? And to that, I'm gonna say, I don't think so. Now, trust me, I want more for less just as much as you do. But when you take into account the difference is in this based on the other traditional Aero stuff, you can still go with that. There's nothing wrong with it, but this is just built to a different level. I don't think that you're losing any value here in the way this is set up, especially in early 2025 with all the inflation we've seen and costs of manufacturing. Most companies can't even get good machinists to show up to work these days. That all comes into play when it comes to price points. Now, once these things really get out there and retailers start to have them on the wall for a while, you'll probably see that like 10 to 20% difference in price between the manufacturers and the actual storefront setup, right? Usually there's a pretty big difference when it comes to that based on how the market actually works. But that decision always rests with you and if you think it's of value in your life. But I don't think anyone that picks this up is going to have a problem with it or be underwhelmed in any way. I am very curious to know, since we have come to expect a pretty reasonable and very low price point from Aero, do you think they hit the mark with this rifle? I really want to know, so leave me a comment, and I'm just curious what people are going to say, especially after reading the forums. You guys keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.